Hello everyone. Hello, welcome to Open Central Asia Regional Interest Community. My name is Yerkin Abdurrahimov. Today I'm going to be your host. Today I am not alone. I am with my amazing colleague, one of our community leaders from Kyrgyzstan, Gulruh Mehmet Kasimova. She will be moderating the chat box and she will also be facilitating Q&A session at the end of this session. Please keep your microphone muted until it's time for our Q&A session. At the end of the session, you will be shared the registration form for getting the certificates. So please fill out the form as soon as possible because the link will be available just 10 minutes after the session. And if you don't want to be seen in the recording, you can have your cameras off. It is optional, but it is encouraged. Thank you. Welcome to our Open Globe Insights series. Today is our guest, Rosetta Bhagwandin from Guyana. She will be speaking on the topic of using the learning series to teach English language in the classroom. Let me first introduce our presenter. Rosetta Bhagwandin is a global English language educator and writer from Guyana, the only English-speaking country in South America. She is an open alumna online professional English network since 2021, a program supported by the US Department of State, FHI 360 and RIC. Rosetta has successfully completed 35 professional English language courses, including her nominated global online course, Developing and Teaching Academic Writing, sponsored by Iowa University, USA. She has established a remarkable career as a global writer, creating content in diverse writing styles and formats. Her extensive professional experience led to her being selected for this year's Open Alumni Interview Video Project for the English for Career Development course. Welcome, Rosetta. We are very happy to have you today. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Yarkin, for having me for the second time. It's my pleasure. And hello, everybody. Good morning, good night, whatever time is in your country, the time zone, a pleasant welcome to you all. So I am Rosetta Bhagwandin from Guyana, and today I'm going to teach on the presentation of 6 learning theories, the way that we as educators and teachers teach, and the perception and the receiving on the other end, which our students interpret our cascadement of teaching. All right, so as individuals, we are all different in the way of our thinking, the way that we present, the way that we receive knowledge. In this case, there are 6 theories that we as individuals, all right, receive knowledge whenever we are being taught, whether it's a consciousness or an unconsciousness state. So let me present my slide to you. And while I'm doing that, if you have any questions, please feel free to type in the chat box or let me see the raise of your hand and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. All right.
Thank you, dear participants. You can share your questions in the chat box. Our moderator, Gulruh Kasimova, will address these questions to the presenter. Thank you.
All right, so bear with me, please. So as we teach, in my case, I teach academic writing in the tertiary levels. Now, those are adults, and whenever I teach them, it's like a different format as when I teach the secondary and the primary levels, because when you teach people big as yourself, adults, we most likely need to use theories of practical demonstration. Now, in this case, there are 6 theories that we as humans, all right, normally receive on the receiving end of any teaching that we get. One of those are behaviorism, humanism, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, Yerkin,
Yes,
can you open, can you,
yeah, you can share the link, that you can share your slides, so your PPT, we will allow you to do it. Just start.
okay, okay, great, all right. I'm having, it is showing that I
Yeah,
cannot, I'm not being,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not being,
Previously, at the beginning of the session, you tried to share, and I saw on the screen that you are trying. So it didn't appear right now so far.
really?
Yeah. Okay. I'll make you a co-host. Okay. I'll make you a co-host.
I think the setting for you has changed,
Yeah.
so check the settings,
Now you
background.
are a co-host. You are a co-host.
Huh? Okay.
Great. Yeah, I would also to tell you, dear participants, Rosetta, is one of our global coordinators. She will be coordinating the South America.
Okay, so, all right, so we have 6 theories of learning. And as I said, as individuals, we all have different amount of IQ. We all receive and process information such as the cascadement of the teachings. Now, as humans, we explore and we demonstrate, all right, those receiving knowledge in our own unique way. And there are 6 types. So here we go. We have behaviorism, we have cognitism, and we have constructivism, humanism, and connectism. Now, these theories all are tied into one way that we receive knowledge and information. All right. So let's go to the very first one. We have behaviorism. Now, in this first receiving theory demonstration, all right. It is the way that when we receive the information as the learners or students, the format in how we receive it. For example, now, if I am teaching academic writing, all right, I teach that in adults, and I demonstrate one positive way, all right, how I want my let's say I give them an assignment and I want it in such a way that I demonstrate all rules, all right? So I want, let's say I give my learners, my adult learners, to write about their country and what they like about, most specifically, whether it's their food, their dance, their culture, their religion. Now, when I ask that, I want my presentation both in writing and both in verbal format. All right. And I want it in a way that if there is anything that should be done positive and, along with the negative aspect, they're free to have that in their presentation, whether it's in a written form or a verbal form. Now, the second theory of receiving knowledge is the process of their IQ and how they see it. Now, there was once one of the educational theorists. I would say that he was an educational scientist. His name was Jean Piaget. Now, he was the person that created the format of how you receive it in your IQ form, all information, all teachings. All right. So for example, I'm teaching academic writing once again. Now, the way I structure my teaching, my lectures, whether it's in a format of a verbal demonstration or a written demonstration, my students or learners then receive it in a way, all right, based on their programming of their mind and their IQ. Now, in that second theory, what I normally do after my teaching session, I would give them, whether it's the face-to-face stand-up or verbal or assessment to be given within a couple of days, the choice of their interpretation of what I taught them. And so when I receive back those information, then I will know, let's say I have 45 students in my class or I have 5 students. I would then, based on their results of what I gave them to do, their assessment, I would then characterize them in their IQ format. So they receive that theory of what I taught them, the cascadement of the knowledge based on their cognitive IQ. All right. Now, the third theory that we use as the theories in education, it's the way that we construct what we receive, whether it's in our demonstration of a verbal way, whether it's in a demonstration of a written format, whatever format that we receive those information as learners or students, we construct them according to how we receive them. And then we have humanism. All right. So these are the way that we do things in our very own unique way. All right. It's the way that we execute our studies. It's the way that we learn from them. It's the way that we present using observation, using demonstrations, using those techniques. And then we have the way that we connect. All right. We connect with our peers based on how we see ourselves, whether it's our social IQ, whether it's our professional IQ. It's an inborn nature to then send out what we receive in our own format. All right. So I would like to present a question to all my viewers, my colleagues here today. Have you ever taught a subject or a topic, and out of all these learning theories, none was ever executed? Have you ever observed, based on the theories of education, in a format and see if your students or learners execute all of them? Can anybody answer?
Yes, so please, dear colleagues. If you want to write your answer in the chat box, please.
Most definitely. And while you're doing that, so at the end of the term, there's something called a report card that we normally give as teachers and educators to our students. In that report card, it shows different category of what we look. Okay, let's say, for example, we have Yarkin. In his report card, there is the attendance part, there is the assessment part, there is the behavior part, and all those I characterize them by numbers. So if I'm looking for the most highest one and I give 5 for attendance, Yerkin did not come 5, he absent almost for the term half of those days, I will give him 2. So that is an example of how we demonstrate as teachers our learning theories towards our students. So once again, I'm asking, as teachers and educators, in these theories of education, the learning theories, have you ever used them based upon your students' demonstration in any format? Jurgen, can I ask you that question?
Yeah. Rosetta, as you know, when we first met on the COP, I said, but you're using your type of like teaching is a more like a philosophical, and
Yep.
yeah, and it's yeah, and as I said, it's a bit kind of bit difficult for me. Yes, of course, we also touch these the topics like behaviorism, like connectivism and humanism in
Mhm,
in a way that not I wouldn't say that we fully focus on these topics like, but of course we touch
mhm,
them, we cover them a little bit in each lesson. As our lessons,
mhm.
we don't have like a quite a full like enough time for covering all this, but of course in each part of the sections of our classes and lessons we can touch them and cover them.
Okay, so thank you for answering that. Now, all right, let me just tell you the way that I teach and the way that my students receive. Now, out of these learning theories in education, I find them very, very important and vital that we use them because we can teach our learners something 100 times or one time. And we need, as educators and teachers, we need to understand the way that we send or we cascade those teachings because all we want as teachers and educators is that our learners receive the knowledge to the best of their, you know, cognitive ability, which is the one that they demonstrate in their academic writing, because we receive information once again based on how our IQ, or sometimes it's a reverse technique, because I'll tell you why. I was telling my daughter this the other day. So she now enters the teaching field. And one of the things is that she's very young. She's 18 and she does not like teaching. All right. Now, she asked me, she said, why did I venture into teaching? Now, as humans, sometimes we need to pour our honesty out. That is the only way that people can understand, and we can even understand ourselves. Time and experience, all right, plays a lot in the roles of each of us in life. Now, in order for you to understand and love what you do, you need to have your all into it. And in order for you to have your all into it, especially as teachers and educators, we need to understand the individual that we're teaching. All right. Now, in South America, I can tell you this, our curriculum of teaching is very, very different. All right. We do not have that exposure. I keep saying this all the time. I've been with Open for 5 years, and it has definitely changed my perspective. They our way in the carbonized, we are in the South America format. We work according to the report card. That is why I can tell you I know every way all my students. I know them both academically and socially. I know them. Before they see me or before I do their report card, I know because I program my mind. We work like this. So it is very important that as teachers and educators, we know our students. And one of the main thing I can tell you, whenever you give an assignment or assessment or you term at the end of the term, you give a connotation of a report card. I am quite sure you can tell who has the highest percentage and who has the lowest percentage because you know your students. You have been there, you have done that. You see how they work. Now, what out of all these theories, as humans, as teachers, the second one is the most important one, is the way they perceive our teaching. We can teach for 5 years, and at the end of those 5 years, we can, some of us have results, some of us don't. It is not that we as teachers do not execute our duties properly, but it's the learners that have the problem. So if we can sort that out and identify that out, teaching for us, our role as teachers would be so different. All right, so I'm seeing Anna. She has her hands up. Anna?
Yeah, I just meant to say I kind of like find a hard time choosing one versus the other. And so for me, all of those theories actually come back to the structure of the lesson. So I was trying to spend some time thinking because you're asking us from the point of like diversifying the learners or making a typology of my learners. Technically, I come to the classroom. I realized it made me reflect that I come to the classroom recognizing the fact that my learners will be different by default. Like, so I already will have different type of learners in the room. So I actually find it difficult not to employ all of those theories. For example, with behavioral one, like we all learn, like to simplify it, right? Learning by doing. So then also if I want to actually like base it on a theory, right? If I want something to be reinforced in my students, I will use positive reinforcement, actually like in an everyday classroom, not just in like some type of assessment. Then when it comes to, like cognitive ability, of course, you will know whether the student is more visual or they're connecting patterns differently. So you will use different techniques in explaining material. When it comes to constructions, like for example, I don't know if you're teaching grammar, you will want them to start recognizing the patterns of like present perfect continuous by themselves and whatnot. And so the way they're connecting those, they will be looking into those, finding those themselves, which will also lean into connectivism. So I'm actually like having a hard time not seeing how you cannot rely on those theories. How can you do without? You might be not consciously applying that. Perhaps, for example, Yurkin says it sounds like more like philosophy. But I was thinking, I mean, if we start asking him, if we will look into his actions, I'm sure he actually applies it on an everyday basis in the classroom. Maybe without calling it that way. That's kind of like, I guess, the trick.
Yeah, maybe. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Anna, and well said. Um, that is why I see professional development as educators and teachers very vital. All right. I started teaching at 16, and let me tell you, when I started teaching at 16, I totally had no happiness in it. I felt so drained. All right. I used to attend the as a teacher from 9 to 3, but after that I want to go home. There is no joy in it. And years after I took a psychology course, that is when I realized that as humans, we must love what we do, and that is the only way we will excel and have results in a positive way. Um, so Anna, to directly answer your question, I think that the theories of learning also defines the age of who we teach. All right, the age of our learners and our students. Also, it defines the subject that we teach. And that is why it is so important going back to the way that we construct at the end of the term, at the end of the month, at the end of the day, our students' individual attributes. All right. So I think most times teachers, educators, or even to be in any profession, we have these learning theories in us, and it's the time of the how do they say this? It's a matter of time for we as individuals to consciously or unconsciously exhibit these ways of receiving what we're being learned. So
Agreed.
it's a really interesting theory that how you summarize all those and you present them well done. Anybody else have any questions pertaining? Anybody else have any sentiments they wish to share based on the theories of learning?
Yeah, please, if you have any questions, and I think we have some comments related to your first question. Right? Could you please read out them?
Yes. Yeah, so from the beginning, they were mentioned about the connectivism, cognitivism and humanism mostly, and we do have the comment from Maria Bossa: in all countries, even inside each country's curriculum or curricula is different. In Argentina, it's different in each province as well. And also by Maria Bossa as well. Okay, I think that saying South America is too much. I believe we must say the name of our country is just an opinion. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Next, by Azoda Dehkanova. So, cognitivism teaches learning strategies, humanism keeps motivation, and connectivism is important for communication and information exchange. Thank you, Azoda, for the great clarification. And by Maria Bosa as well. So I think that using them all is important and necessary. So a mixture of them is good for our teaching as well. Yeah, thank you. So, and Tahmina Saliva has also sent, as we really more on digital networks, as we rely more on digital networks, do you think cognitivism is starting to replace traditional cognitive methods like lecturing and reading? Here's a question. Okay, yeah, that's it. Thank you, everyone, for being active.
All right, thank you everybody for sharing their sentiments. Now, coming to the question of the modernized teaching and the way that we perceive through digital learning technology. I think, in this time, the shift of education, the way that we teach it, and the format of receiving it on the other end has totally changed. The fact that the humanism, the behaviorism, because in the modern time, we do not have in-person teaching. It is, quickly fading. We do it virtually that I'm doing now. And that is something I think that, it's a gap of not having the correct information received from the learners because they see teaching as a casual way in the digital format. Now, if I have my classroom and I have my students in my classroom, remember, I'm in charge. They see me physically, I see them physically. I will then be able to walk around and check their work. I will then be able to, have a one-on-one with them in an open forum, physical forum. Now, when we're doing this virtually now, of course, in the mindset of my learners, they would be there physically listening to me virtually, but the receiving end of what I'm teaching might not be so much strong. So, yes, I see digital receiving and teaching in the educational learning as a way of the shift in both negative and positive way. And it is slowly phasing the concept of receiving the cascadement of education in the format of importance. It is more going to a social format. As I always say, I enjoy going to the library back in my days of school. I enjoy searching through the encyclopedia. I enjoy going out on surveys of interviewing. But sadly, technology has now come in the way of us as teachers. And so the importance of education and learning, it's not so much of a string, of a profound happening. We don't have that anymore. So that is why, for example, academic writing, we teach adult. And when we do that, when we teach academic writing, we cannot have more than 20 students in a class because they're adults. We do not have that in-person teaching. So we have to know as teachers how to structure our cascadement of teaching based on our students' age, their learning, and their another thing that plays a very important role is that the curriculum, the culture of our curriculum plays a very vital role. And so that is why it's bringing me to the active knowledge of construction, which is theory 3. All right. So can everybody see my theory 3?
Yes.
Yes, we can
All
see
right.
the screen.
So we have good. So we have discovery.
Sorry, Rosetta, can we clean here's the screen? Here we do have the line, like red line.
Yeah, it's okay. Somebody unintentionally, typed the line.
We cannot clean it, right?
Yeah, I think we can
Delete it.
because
I'm
maybe,
trying to,
maybe
but
we can, but right now maybe I don't know how.
Okay, okay.
All right. So, okay. So, I'm trying to get it out, but unfortunately, it's not coming off.
It's okay. It helps to preserve the rights of the author.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
If you cannot change something, you might as well just change your attitude to it.
Perfect. Perfect. And that is the way we cascade our knowledge as teachers. Wonderful. Thank you for that. Right. So back to the theory. I want to stress and touch on theory 4, social learning theory. Now, this is where we have a learner exhibiting both their social demonstration or attributes as an individual and the receiving attributes as a student on the receiving end. So if I, as a teacher and an educator, presents a topic and I do not, it's the way that I can say something very, very bad or very negative in the most loving way. It shows my cognitive way of presenting my information. And that is the thing that we come to theory 4. It's a social learning theory. All right. So it's where observation and motivation and exhibition presents our learning and the receiving end. We must be comfortable as teachers and we must be comfortable as learners. That is the only way we will have excellent results. All right. So I would like to ask once again, how do we have a social theory learning attribute as teachers in our classroom?
We model.
Another great question.
How do we have social theory learning exhibition, or how do we see social theory learning in our students?
We model. We model our behavior, and students learn by basically either following the pattern. Let's say as a teacher, if you're trying to emphasize it's important to do something, but yet you promised them but never followed up. I mean, they basically don't get surprised that they will be doing the same thing to you gradually. And basically because they're we're all in the society, so they will also be learning from their peers, meaning from peer assessment. I mean, by teaching them being, for example, providing good feedback and how to construct it right, they will actually you model it first, but then they will also rely on each other and learn from each other how they do it. Or if you allow some student to, I don't know, cheat on the exam, don't get surprised, that will also get replicated. So basically observing the behavior and replicating it, because we're all social creatures.
Definitely. And that is where plagiarism plays an important fact. That is where AI plays an important fact, because if we look at the way and the shift of how our education is working, AI and digital format is slowly taking over role as individuals, as teachers and educators. So we still have to be so confident and play a very profound role in the way that we as teachers present and execute our cascadement of knowledge. Now, if you can look at my screen, we have the non-human agents, and that is where AI and social media and the technology plays the role in that. Now, how many of us as teachers and learners can identify when we receive assessment or assignment from our students that they did AI or they did it through manual work? How many of us?
I think that's where we can generalize. All of us are facing it in some way or the other.
But do you think that we as teachers can identify them?
Well,
I'll tell you.
if you know your students well, you do.
Yeah, and
Perfect, Anna. Perfect.
It becomes obvious, you also when you teach and you see it, and you sometimes they're using technology, and yes, the over reliance on the AI and on technology becomes obvious because, and sometimes you close your eyes when seeing them, you know.
Perfect. Thank you, Anne and Yerkin. Yes, after a while being with our student, we model them, we know them. We can tell based on their of spending time with them, how they react, and if this is indeed their work. Because if we do not have it goes to show that if I give an assignment or an assessment and I say I want it verbally, I would know. I know my students. I would know what they would tell me and what they wouldn't. But then there's the format of just plagiarizing from the internet, and that is when we have our academic drop and decline of what we are teaching as teachers not being understood, right? I always say in Guyana, my home country, Guyana, there's one national library because we have a population of below 900, very small population. And I can tell you this, teachers in Guyana, the active connotation and ratio of using technology and AI is not so much. All right. So we know our students so well that we can have 100 students in the classroom. And at the end of the day, we know if they did the work or we know if they copy. That is why we are trying to update and to foster the quickness in having technology and the digital format of teaching in Guyana more efficient. So, but I prefer, as a teacher, I prefer the primitive way because I love to sit and have the pen and the paper and mark. I love to do that. I find that is the only way our cascadement of teaching and learning, both positive and negative way, can be executed. All right, because it goes back to show AI very soon in years to come. And I can tell you, my AI teachers, I'm not quite sure if they have that already. Now, in those cases, what we program into the database will be executed. Um, and sadly, the physical handling of books and encyclopedia, the manual going of doing research outdoor into the survey, all those things are slowly fading. So the beauty for me of teaching and receiving education or the knowledge of education, it's not so much as it was years back, the happiness of it. So that is why I'm going to give you an example once again. My daughter cannot enjoy and she doesn't know the beauty of teaching because, the youngsters now, the modernized teaching is slowly going in. It's quickly going, as a matter of fact, in the digital format. We have the internet, and if we have a question, we enter it and the internet gives us the answer, So it is very hard to really detect the 6 theories of teaching and the 6 theories of learning. It's very hard, especially in the time now. That is why we need to, whenever we are giving assignment or assessment or homework, we need to structure those questions in such a way that we have our students thinking manually and we have them thinking when they use the AI. All right. So thank you, Anna, for, just giving that broad answer of summarizing those all 6 theories together. Another thing I would like to touch on is that we go back to the era of having all those educational scientists or all those profound men that created the strength and the weaknesses and created a format of individual assessment of knowing how we teach and how it is being received. If you can see on my screen, I have the theories and how they observe it, whether it's a mental way of observing it and how they use it, how learners use it based on the way that they receive the learning. All right, so can you see here on the screen, everybody?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
All right, so great.
Yes.
So, one of the most observed, observation in the theory one, behaviorism. All right. As teachers, we need to know how, if we give an assignment, how each learner will execute that assignment based on their creativity. And we will only know that when we receive their homework, their assignment, their assessment. Now, let's say we have a case that um, John Doe, when I received his assignment, it was based on nothing that the topic that I gave. What will I then do? How will I go back to having him to understand what I taught? Can anybody tell me?
Again, please, could you please repeat the question, Rosetta?
All right. So I have John Doe in my classroom and I gave him an assignment as well as the other student. How to write about one of the favorite dish that they enjoy. And I want pictures, please, and I want a written way of showing the recipe. Now, when I received my assignment back, everybody did it except for John, though he did not understand what the question was. Now, do you think it is wise for me as an educator to take all my students back down the road and re-taught or re-explain back the subject of the assessment? Or should I take John Doe by himself and explain to him?
Yeah.
Anna, I see you have your hands up.
Yeah, don't want to be over talking, but don't see other hands, unfortunately. I think I'm gonna try to this way nicely push like colleagues to say too. So in my opinion, it depends. I mean, if you know that John, I mean, typically a student who doesn't perform well in class or doesn't understand something might be a student, I mean, of like a shy type or somebody who is not performing well overall. So exposing him in the front of the whole classroom will be the biggest mistake you can do. And so sometimes like the best would be to take him personally. And I would also structure the conversation in a particular way instead of just, clarifying the assignment. I would probably ask like, hey, I truly appreciate your effort. Like whatever you've done shows me that you spent some time doing whatever he has done. However, there were some things that I would like to improve with you, and I think you can do better. It probably will help, and maybe I was the one who wasn't very clear explaining my requirements, so it would help me a lot if you will tell me how do you understand the task. And then the student can perhaps, say this or that. And I would, if, for example, it might turn out that he didn't want to use the pictures. That's also a probability. I might ask for it, but if a student, I have a student like this, like first lessons we studied from, he said, like, why should I use personal stories? Like, I don't want to talk personal things. So that might be, so understanding the rationale behind the behavior of a kid will actually give the responses of like how to approach teaching such student to get what you want next time. And then asking him and giving him green light. Should you have any challenge, I would like you to know that you can always clarify it with me. It is important for me that, you succeed. So it's not the task that matters, but for me, like showing the best side of yours that I believe in would matter more.
Excellent format, Anna. And I think you have done a excellent job in executing and explaining my question. And it goes to show that the psychology of teaching needs to be intertwined, all right, equally within the teacher and the student. Because if we're teaching a subject or we're standing in the classroom every day or we're doing virtual teaching and we do not have that empathy and that love in how we bring out our teaching, the cascadement, our students, even if they don't understand, they will have that fear way back, of if they don't understand, they will never say they don't understand. They will just present an assignment, present the work, because they have that fear of not having that openness to speak their mind to their teachers. So it goes to show that we model we as teachers model, we need to implement that way of beauty in teaching so that we can model the cascadement of the knowledge as teachers equally and at the same time with respect, to our students. Thank you so much. And that is why, as teachers, I think it is very important that we continue to do professional development courses, enhancing that with psychology, because we need to work. We need to have psychology, the way of thinking, to have our job well executed as teachers, because it's the way that we put things out. That is the way that our learners will receive them. So it comes back to show that in time to come, we wouldn't have these things anymore. We wouldn't have these theories active, but we will always know that whether we're teachers or not, whether we're learners or not, those that model these behavior and execute them to the best of their ability will always have that correct notion of how, the interpretation of knowledge is being received as an individual or as human beings. So, is there anybody else would like to add to my presentation today or would like to share or ask anything?
Yeah, I think we have some questions here, right, Guru?
Yeah, so here we do have some questions, comments as well. Can I read from the beginning?
Yeah, please.
Some of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So, after Irkin, after after his message, we do have some comments from Dilfuza Okilova. So, it was about cognitivism has influenced instructional design, emphasizing the importance of teaching strategies that promote cognitive engagement, such as scaffolding, feedback, and the use of multimedia. Okay, by Tahmina Saliva. So, if a student is stuck on a difficult concept, which of these five frameworks usually offers the quickest way to get them to do their best? Okay, and also we do have the answers to your question, Rosetta, about feedback is important for students. Observe, absolutely right. Feeling confidence. By Azoda Dihkon, we compare and observe. And we do have one question by Dilafroza Akhunova. Which of six theories? So here she mentioned your question are most effective in your class. And by Tahmina Saliva, I think if he or she is not able to give or to share the idea, you might help in order to push him or her. And one more by Azada Dihkanova. The key point for a teacher is to know well the theory of multiple intelligence. That would be easier to work with students and understand their weak and strong points, interests, and so on. Thank you, everyone, for being active.
Okay, so let's go back to the question by Vilafroza Hunova, right? Which of six series are most effective?
Most effective in your class,
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, dear colleagues, for the questions, for the sentiment shared. For me, I think all. I cannot see myself as an educator and teacher, not having all those theories present, because if I do not have all those theories present when I'm doing my final assessment of individuals or as learners, then I'm not doing my job as I should. Because in life, we have the positive and negative attributes of, each of us have that. Now, as teachers or as educators, we are asking our learners to show or to model the concept of how we are cascading the knowledge to them. Now, if I'm going to teach, for example, the boy is running, and I ask them to show me or demonstrate to me a picture of that sentence. The boy is running. I have 32 students in my classroom. And out of the 32 students in my classroom, only 15 did the correct drawing or demonstration of the boys running. Now, it almost seemed like the other set of students did not quite understand the structure of the sentence or the structure of the question. My job now is to go back as a teacher and see where that I erred. Because if you're going to have a ratio of almost half and half understands and the other half don't understand, it shows to show that me, as a teacher, there's something wrong in the way that I applied my teaching. All right. And I need to go back to the basic format or the first theory of learning, of teaching. How I structure, how I act, because all those things plays the role in asking a question. But then there's the ratio out of 32. If one student or two students do not understand that question, the boy is running. And it shows that there is a decline or a drop in the two students' cognitive ability to perceive and to understand that question. So I would then again readjust or rearrange my question back and ask everyone to go again and do it and to present it. And once again, if I find that those two students did not understand, then I did something wrong. I did not apply my technique as a teacher the way I should. There is the concept of no child is left behind in Guyana. Now, when we are doing assessment, there are 3 terms per year. And there's the concept of no child is left behind. There is the point of having 100% each child per term. Now, per term, if out of 100 students, 50 of them get 100% and the others fell below, they will be promoted. And so they will finish the 5 years or the 8 years of schooling, not knowing at the end of it how to execute what they learned of all the years, because the government or the Ministry of Education has implemented the rule that no child should left behind. Whether the child understands or whether the child does not understand, they will still graduate at the end of the year. And that is where we have that kind of drop in professionalism, because, there was a rule of going that whether they learn or not, they will at the end of it receive that accomplishment. And so they will go into society to apply what? They cannot apply what they didn't learn, what they didn't understand or perceive. So what I think should happen, but as time goes by with the digital way of teaching and learning, the cascadement of learning and teaching, it's like a shift of difficulty, because we as teachers do not have that approach of standing in front of the classroom and to present our theories. All right, the way and the concept of the way that we did it, it's not received the way as now, because we're doing most of virtual teaching and learning. So coming back to the point, I see all those theories still in existence, and we need to have all those theories when we're doing or assessing or teaching as teachers and educators. I hope that I answered the questions in the summarized way. If I didn't, anybody please share.
You did it perfectly. So we have one more question. So yeah.
Yes, we do have one more question.
Already time.
Yeah.
Let's have one more question.
Dilnaza Sultanova. Dilnaza Sultanova has asked, I think, the same question with the previous one. Which theory more useful for students? And by Aidarali Alima as well, we do have a question. How does behaviorism can affect on relations between teacher and students? And before answering, Rosetta, we do have one more comment. Let me read it. The comment is sent by Shahnaz Khan Mirzozoda Okay, instructional design based on cognitivism focus on how learners process information, utilizing structured supports and visual aids to enhance mental retention. Thank you.
All right, so thank you. Uh, can you reapply the question, the last question, please?
Okay, yes, sure. The first one, which theory more useful for students? And the second one, how does behaviorism can affect on relations between teacher and students?
Thank you. So let me choose the last question to answer that. Behaviorism. If we as teachers do not apply stringent rule, do not apply the concept of being the sole uh, performer, I should say, the sole demonstrator of what we're teaching. And if we have a classroom of chaos or a classroom of disrespect or a classroom of students not paying attention to what we teach, then we have a problem. Because at the end of the day, our job did not make sense. All right. Our job as teachers, it wasn't perceived the way it should. So I think that is where we as teachers need to learn professional ethics. And if you can see here, it's the way that we present ourselves. It's the way that we model ourselves, whether it's a professional way, whether it's a social way, because all these theories at the end of the day makes one. All right, in cascading, learning, and teaching. Um, and I think if we go back to the point of having that shift now in the generational, because I'm, for example, I'm doing a virtual webinar here. All right. The country, Central Asia, it's another continent from where I'm from. Guyana is in South America. And there is a shift. All right. There's a shift in that. Now, because you would not have me standing physically and explaining the theories, the 6 theories of learning. We're doing it far apart, but yet still near. And so after this, the way that we applied, I will not be able to to send my receiving knowledge, the teaching knowledge to my students. Now, I think in that concept, it goes to show the way that we teach on the students, the ages of the student and subjects that we're teaching. For example, I do not think that it's likely for students in the primary level and in the secondary level to have virtual teaching. For me, I think virtual teaching and digital teaching should be done in classrooms because as human, those individuals in the primary level and in the secondary level are still growing. You're still growing in their cognitive ability, as opposed to when we're doing tertiary level teaching. All right, because we're teaching adults such as ourselves. And the way that we present ourselves as teachers and the way that the learners in the tertiary level receive those teachings. All right. There is respect in those ways. So I think for now, I think digital teaching using AI and technology should apply to the latter part of secondary levels and tertiary level because we still need to hold that grasp of importance as teachers to maintain, all right, our role as teachers and to have that expert and that behavioral pattern of mastering what we're sending out and what our students are receiving. So, in a summary of the questions, I would like to say that teaching goes hand in hand with the ages and the subject, with the teachers and the learners. And if we do not apply these, whether it's a focus of consciousness or unconsciousness, we need to have all 6 theories applicable in our teaching. Whether it's being executed or not, we need as teachers to hold that in their mind when we're marking papers, when we're doing the demonstration of assessment of each of our student. Have that that segregation, that difference in all 6 theories and apply them. We might not apply them that our students will know, but we need to apply them in our private way of teaching, whether it's by learning and whether it's by cascading our knowledge as teachers. I hope I answered the questions. If I didn't, please feel free. We're almost out of time. I'm seeing 11:02, Yarke.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rosetta.
Thank you.
Wonderful presentation. Thanks, Guru, for facilitating Q&A session. Thank you, dear colleagues. Thank the amazing comments and questions. Yeah, Rosetta is on our Facebook page on OpenCOP. She will be very glad to accept your questions on Facebook page under our post later today under the recording. So you can ask as many questions as you like. If she will have time, she will, of course, no doubt will answer your questions. Thank you so much, Rosetta. We are very happy to have you today. You are amazing. One of our global coordinators. She's coordinating South America.
Thank you for having me, Yarkin. Thank you, dear colleagues, for attending today. And I will be posting, I'm not sure if it's every week or every 2 weeks, the psychology of mastering teaching and receiving very soon. And so that whenever we're teaching, we know to add that little touch and beauty of psychology so that we can be able as teachers to identify these 6 theories. It is very important. So thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure. Yarkin, it's a pleasure for the second time again to share my knowledge.
Yeah.
And I do hope very soon we can do this back again.
It was great. It was really great. So we are very happy that I'm sure in the future, this is not your last presentation here on our community, mutual community. So in the future, I'm sure you will do your third one. For now, you can stay with us, Rosetta, please. Could you please stop sharing your screen?
Thank you. All right.
Okay, for now, let me share the link to apply for the certificate. So while I am announcing some concluding the session with some announcements, you will be filling out the form to get for your certificates. The link will be available for 10 minutes. So please fill out the form. Oh, sorry. Let me do it one more time. Yes. Yeah, the link will be available for just 10 minutes after the session. After 10 minutes, unfortunately, we will close it. Now it's in the chat. It's in the chat box. Now you can see. So please let me share one more time. Here it is. Okay, fill out the form. Let me conclude the session with some announcements. Okay, our next webinar, the series 24 is going on the American English Live series on YouTube channel. So we have covered they present the first presentation 24-1 was done. So we have selected our Cascade speaker. So in the Cascade learning segment, it is Yelena Dergunova from Kazakhstan. She will be cascading on the topic of Ghana, Wana Gimemo, teaching listening and pronunciation through American music. And as you know, we are in partnership with TEYL SYG Nile TESOL. It's also an interest community under Nile TESOL. So this time we are not presenting. This time we are not presenting, but we were allowed to participate fully. All teachers, open alumni, teachers, English teachers are welcome to participate in this webinar by Shahid Sabrin. So it is on Friday, February 13th. And we are also in partnership with STEP Azerbaijan. So it's our first virtual event. One of our regional coordinators, Bahar Bahvirova from Turkmenistan, she will be speaking on the topic of universal design for learning together with her colleague from Azerbaijan, and she will be talking on the topic of inclusive assessment in English language teaching. So the registration is open. Gulruh, our chat moderator today, has already shared the link to the registration. Please register. Now, as you know, each month we have a topic. This month's topic is integrating digital technology and AI in teaching English language. So we accept short videos related to the topic. Please join this segment, participate, create your short presentation and explain your tip or strategy or tool or method, just one piece of method in a short 5-7 minute video. If you want to be a part of our growing community, please join our Facebook page and YouTube channel, share with your colleagues, share with your local networks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for participating in today's webinar. Thank you so much again, Rosetta, dear colleague, our global coordinator. Wish you all the best. First of all, health. Take care of yourself. We are in touch. We will reach out to you shortly to hand out your certificate of appreciation.
Immense gratitude, Yarkin, and thank you for having me. Thank you, dear colleagues, for attending today, and I do hope I address all questions and I put forward and I presented my knowledge to the best of my abilities. Thank you, Open Central Asia. Thank you, Yarkin. Thank you, dear colleagues, for having me today.
You are welcome. Okay, dear colleagues, thank you so much. Please fill out the form as soon as possible to get your certificates. It will be sent, the certificates will be sent within a week. So please, you can share the link, you can share the certificates, your certificates on your Facebook accounts, on your social media accounts. So we will be very glad to see your certificates issued by Open Central Asia Regional Interest Community.